And a great good Saturday morning to you. This is Coffee Break Reflection, and I'm Pastor Jerry Scott. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I hope you're going to spend some time in corporate worship in your church tomorrow. A few years ago, the news reported a story that was tragic and funny all at the same time. It was about a flight attendant who had been harassed for the entire flight by passengers. When the plane arrived at JFK, he announced with profane language that he was fed up with those who had been so difficult. He then walked to one of the doors of the plane, opened it, deploying the emergency chute, slid down to the tarmac, and walked off. What a dramatic way to quit. He was, by the way, fined $10,000 and banned from the industry, as one might expect. You ever been so fed up in some situation you just wanted to quit? The story of William Wilberforce inspires me in those kinds of moments. William Wilberforce served in Parliament in England in the early 19th century. For 26 long years, he brought up the same bill in Parliament every session. His colleagues mocked him, accusing him of losing common sense to religious fervor. The business established threatened that if his bill passed, his idealism would destroy the economy. Stress took a toll on his health, and he aged far beyond of his years, carrying on what many believed was a fool's crusade. But he would not quit. Every year, he stood on the floor of Parliament using his wit and wisdom and turned the issue of slave trade into the talk of England. Finally, in 1807, this great Christian succeeded in getting the House of Commons to vote to end the slave trade. The Crown agreed, and the vile practice came to an end. He was a wealthy man, first elected to Parliament at age 21, and he was tempted many times to abandon his political career, at one point even considering becoming a clergyman. But urged by his friends, he did not quit the fight. And his perseverance changed history. He was, by the way, a good friend of John Newton, the author of Amazing Grace, who also, after being a captain of a slave ship, became a bitter opponent of slavery. Times come to us all when life's difficulties turn into roaring monsters. In those moments, it may seem that the only option is to turn and quit and run. When we're taking a beating, it may seem just reasonable to throw in the towel and call off the match. How much more of this can I take before I break, we might question. In Genesis, we read the story of Joseph, who must have wondered if he would break under the pressure many times before God-given dreams were fulfilled. As a teenager, he was sold into slavery, carried off to Egypt, motivated less by greed than hatred. When he was in slavery in Egypt, he was sold to a man named Potiphar, whose wife took a liking to him, and when he resisted her approaches, she turned on him and falsely accused him of rape, which led to a long prison sentence. A man he befriended while he was in prison was released and promptly forgot all about interceding on Joseph's behalf. You think he felt like quitting? But he kept his dreams, held on to his faith in God. He refused to become bitter and cynical. When he was given a perfect opportunity to settle the score with his brothers many decades later, he forgave those who hurt him. And after years and years of disappointment, he saw all of God's promises fulfilled as he provided safety for the people of Israel in Egypt as its prime minister. It's a great story. You know, in pastoral ministry, I have watched so many wrestle with hardship and becoming disappointed with God. And some just choose to walk away from faith. Oh, I don't get angry. I'm very sad. Others find themselves in a church that has been turned unpleasant for one reason or another, division, pastoral difficulties. They just choose to abandon fellowship and claim a new privatized faith, ignoring God's call into his church. Again, I don't get angry. I'm just sad. The Bible urges us as followers of Christ to keep our faith, to stay steady. Uses the word persevere. In Hebrews 10, we read this, don't throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Remember, there is a great reward for you. Patient endurance is what you need now, so that you will continue to do God's will. Only then will you receive all he has promised. Quitting too soon has one predictable result: failure. Don't confuse persistence with stubbornness. A stubborn person keeps on doing the same dumb thing, refusing to adapt and learn, thinking himself above advice. He perpetuates his failure. A persistent person studies his plans, prays fervently, listens well, and keeps trying and trying and learning and trying till he finally finds a way to do what he was born to do. Hang in there, friend. Charles Spurgeon, so-called Prince of Preachers of another generation, reminds us, and I quote, God is too good to be unkind. He's too wise to be mistaken. And when we cannot trace his hand, we must trust his heart. What a word. Here's a word from the Word for today before we part company. Hear it from Hebrews 12. Let us throw off everything that hinders us and the sin that so easily entangles us, and let us run with perseverance that race that is marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, who is the author and the completer of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame. He then sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. What a word. Abba, keep us steady today. I pray for those who are tempted to quit, those who are thinking about walking away. Speak gently, softly, and persistently to their heart and mind, calling them to renewed faith. Those of us, Lord, who care for their souls, may we be diligent in our tasks, so that we will encourage those under our care. In Jesus' holy name I pray. Amen. Hey, friends, good to share with you today. God bless your day richly. Hope to see you next week. And until then, remember, walk with Jesus.